interest goes back to when I was a kid and working in a garden we had at home, and then a larger garden we had at a summer cottage in Clinton County. And then in college, I always had gardens. I lived out in the country out around Wilmington and went to Wilmington College. I had another farm in Claremont County. We didn't sell any product. It was mostly large garden and a Christmas tree operation. So in 1990, I met Leslie, and we started Peach Mountain Organics. And we were both had an interest. I've had an interest in organic farming since my whole life, but mostly I got intensified in the 70s. So I've only farmed one way. We get up fairly early, not real early. We don't have anything to do in the dark. So basically, once we hit the ground, we start managing. Getting as much done here as we can, taking orders, filling orders for restaurants and grocery stores, and then moving into weeding and planting if that's what's on the agenda for the day. It varies, and then that goes all day, and then when my help leaves, I usually go back to a project that maybe I want to work on and deal with. And then usually some picking before we call it a day, so usually we don't get into after dark. There isn't much downtime during the summer and fall. Spring, either. Pretty involved. First part of the week from Monday to Thursday, it's all restaurants, grocery stores, health food stores. So we fill those orders, and then we try not to do too much more of that, but we end up doing it into the weekend. But after Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday are devoted to picking predominantly for market. So it's a 2-day process. We keep just piling up produce until we're ready to go on Saturday morning. In the produce end of it, you name it, we grow it just about. I have very little. I mean, that's not a sound strategy for business, but it is a good business for a market grower. Leslie does cut flowers, seasonal cut flowers, and we force some flowers in the greenhouse for early production. So we have a lot of indoor production. And it's really hard to make enough money farming without having something that carries you through the winter months. It's not like it's a big amount of money, but it's enough to buy groceries and pay some bills. Market's fun. I wouldn't want to do it without some market. They all know me pretty well now. We've been selling there since '91, so you get familiar. You know, you start knowing a little bit more about people and what they like. And I like educating, so I don't probably do that as much as I used to because people know they've heard it all before. You know, and I'm not too into preaching to the choir, but everybody's very grateful just to have that interaction with the customer. If you always wholesale, you never get any feedback, and there's no predictability in my life. You could be flooded one day, you could be hailed out of existence another day. Failure is it's always working. In my other trades, if you did something, you got something back if you did a good job. This, you could do a good job and fail. Those are the hard things to learn. I mean, after a while, you just move on. Too many of those, though, and you have a bad season. But diversity in crops, you don't have to worry as much about being a total failure, because I mean, I can have a bad year in one area and still have a really good year somewhere else. So you don't always bottom out. I would have to farm organically. I don't have a particular draw to it. It's just a mindset. I don't think there's any excuse for farming any other way. It isn't a lazy way to farm. There's no magic bullet, there's no magic spray, there's no herbicide. You know, I mean, the strongest thing I can use is vinegar on weed, and you know, that's not really, that doesn't really make a lot of sense either. So from our standpoint, I feel like it's a healthier diet. Just because produce is local doesn't necessarily make it healthier. I know a lot of small growers that are probably the worst polluters when it comes to how much they put on the crops because they aren't being watched as closely. I do think local, sustainable produce is a great thing.